But I was preaching to people last year constantly that, last year was the year to start, and still kind of this year, because, the quality specifically, Zoom was the norm. Jimmy Fallon was recording the Tonight Show from Zoom. Like that's the norm quality for content. And so actually I was preaching to everyone to start last year.
Welcome to the Greatness Ignited podcast, where we have conversations about the greatness of others so that you can recognize the greatness in you. My name is Barry Overton, and I have been studying greatness for the last 7 years, and it is taking my career to new heights. And now me and a few of the successful people that I have had the honor of interviewing are coming together to ignite your greatness and light the fire within. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Greatness Ignited, where we're having conversations about the greatness in others so that you can realize the greatness in you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to be here with you today. As usual, every week I have the opportunity to bring you into the lives of people that have done some amazing things, some of them in a very short period of time, some of them over a course of a long life. And the funny thing about it is this gentleman has actually been able to have an impact on my life and the fact that we are right here doing this podcast. Let me tell you a little bit about this gentleman. Number one, he loves content. He loves creating content. And he also loves helping other people to create content. And it really started, from a standpoint of doing podcasts. It started as a hobby. And someone told him, hey, you're pretty good at this. And he actually is. He's very good at this. And he's turned it into a business where now he's helping others to impact the world by sending their message out through this vehicle of podcasts. And he's had the opportunity to work with people like Anik Singal and Damon John and allow them to continue to build their brand and grow. And he's learned how to be able to do this with a less than 30-minute time frame of your week of helping people to build podcasts. And one of his quotes, one of the things that he kind of lives by is that if you're not creating content, your competitor is, and you're falling behind due to that. And that really speaks volumes. So I hope in this episode that you get something out of whatever business you may be doing or whatever you're doing in life. A lot of us are using social media as entertainment, but he is going to share with you in just different aspects of media, how you can use it to really build your brand, build your business. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Mr. Joe Ennis. How you doing, sir?
Good to see you, Barry.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to have you here. And, as I was sharing with the viewers, I mean, you're a big part of why the Greatness Ignited podcast is doing the things that we're doing and having the success that we're having. And you're behind the scenes, for me with the editing and the micro content and everything that's going on to really get this podcast out. And you're doing that for so many other people as well, and having an impact on them. So I personally want to thank you for myself, but I also make that thanks for all the people that you're helping as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. It's an honor to help you.
All right. Well, we're gonna get right into it. And as you know, because you do edit all of my podcasts, you know the format of what we do here. And really, I mean, again, this is where we're able to. I love taking, as we say, ordinary people that are doing extraordinary things and being able to share their story. Because we've had some really big names that have been on this podcast, but this season was something important to me to have a more of a mixture of people that have already achieved great success and then people that are in the process, because honestly, there's a lot of us out there that are in the process of achieving our success. And sometimes it helps to hear how people are going through their current process as they're climbing that ladder of success. But I know that it all starts a lot of times in the very beginning. I love to just go back and talk about Joe growing up as a kid. What were you? Let me ask you this. This is one of my favorite questions to ask people. When you were a kid, what did you dream about?
Man, again, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to have you. I mean, I've seen a lot of the other guests that you've had, so the y- it's an honor to be mentioned with some of those people, or to share a stage with some of those people. But yeah, I mean, I think some of the biggest things that I dreamed about. I'm 24 now, so like some people still call me a kid, but um, I think some of the biggest things that I dreamed about when I was little, well, first off, I had a big imagination. Loved movies, loved TV shows, loved, cool books. Was always running around outside with my friends, like fighting pretend stormtroopers from Star Wars or whatever. And I think as a little kid, I really dreamed about entertainment in some way. I don't think I would have necessarily called it that at the time. I probably would have said, like, I want to be Spider-Man in a movie someday. Like, that was my goal for a while. But at the core of it, it was really just entertaining and being, uh, doing something where I could interact with people.
Yeah.
Um, I know, like, even sometimes in our neighborhood, we had a lot of kids growing up in our neighborhood. We used to put on like shows and stuff for the parents because we just liked to entertain. And even though we were like 7 or 6 and didn't know what we were doing, we just wanted to do something that was fun, that brought joy to others, that we could do ourselves. And I think that's kind of what a lot of my dreams were about, was doing something where I got to interact with others, bring joy to others, but also to make something cool that I can do myself and that can use my creativity to its full potential, I guess.
Yeah, and it's great to, number one, hear about what the dreams were as a kid. I always tell people that for me, I wanted to be Superman growing up, and I didn't want to play Superman in a movie. I wanted to be Superman.
Sure, yeah.
And as a kid at 4 years old, I thought that was possible, and that was the dream. And then we kind of fast forward in life, and here it is. I served in a war where I protected, the freedoms of the world, and I served as a police officer where I protected and served in my community. And when you kind of look at it, that's kind of super, man.
Oh
So
yeah.
so and to hear where you were at as a kid, it was again the creating and being a part of media in some degree. And here it is, as you said, you're only 24, which is, we're going to talk about that as well, but that's amazing in itself. But what it tells me is, because you've been doing this since you were 21, you got 3 years under your belt. I guarantee you, if we were to do this podcast at 34, at 44, you're going to see all these building blocks of life. And what you're doing right now is setting you up for something amazing that's coming. And it very well, who knows, you may be playing Spider-Man in a
Dude,
movie at
I would
some
be
point in
so
time.
pumped. Spider-Man's supposed to be like a high school kid, but who knows? Maybe they make a movie
Yeah.
in the future where he's in his 30s or something and they need an older guy. That's me.
Yeah. And so I always like to share, because when we're talking about greatness and we're talking about dreaming, it's easy to think about the great parts of that and the ease of success, which is, I think it's probably easy, and success are probably an oxymoron, because I don't think that anything that you're successful at ever comes easy. And I think that there's challenges along the way, and there's struggle, and there's things that you have to face, the things that may scare you, things that you don't want to necessarily have to take on, and persevere through them. So over these last 3 years of building Podcast by Joe and building a client base, have there been struggles that you've had to go through and overcome?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that I'm still doing this. I'm going into my 3rd year in January. It's December now. But the fact that I'm still able to do this just speaks volumes to the people that have, you know, come to my side and been able to be support system for me. Because I mean, as you know, Barry, you constantly are going through some sort of issue or struggle, whether it's very minor of like, a recording with a client didn't work, or if it's something big like a client dropped off and I'm not going to get, paid by a specific client in a month. There's constantly struggles and things that you're trying to overcome. And I think there's two things I kind of think about it. Number one, I as much as I hate going through them in the moment, I do look back and appreciate a lot of the experiences that I've had in that way, whether it is losing a client or whether it's a small mess up like, a recording goes wrong. You learn a lot from those moments, and you learn to adapt and to make sure that they don't happen again, change things, and make sure that whether it's the client experience is better so that clients don't leave, or the record, you have a backup recording, whatever it is, you learn from these experiences and you remember them, and then eventually you become very grateful for them.
Yeah.
It's tough to be grateful when you lose money or when you just mess something up and look like an idiot. But,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it really is a moment to kind of, or a time to be humble, think about how you can improve, and, take it as a learning experience. And so I am really grateful for a lot of those moments. Now, I still go through those moments all the time. And I continue to, learn and change and grow. But I'm glad that they exist. I obviously trying to minimize them as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, overall, if you're thinking about starting a business yourself, understand that you're gonna run into trouble, whether it's big or small.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And and I think honestly, when I set goals, I always, and I share this with people that I mentored, is that when I set a goal and I'm pursuing that goal, there are two areas of it that I look for the reward. So the reward obviously is achieving, reaching the goal. There's a reward that comes with it, but it's also the person that you become in order to reach that goal is another reward, because again, the person that you become has to go through the challenges and the struggles through that process. And once you become the person that can now attain this goal, there's not really any going back, and that's where our evolution continues. And I've seen that in my own personal life. I can tell by what you're sharing that you've seen that. Again, you make a mistake, you only make it once usually,
Yeah.
and you learn from it. I always say that there's not wins and losses, there's wins and lessons. And as long as we can take it as a lesson, we're always constantly winning, because we're just getting better over the course of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. I mean, one of like you said, it is literally just wins and lessons constantly, and I am extremely grateful for them. And you're right. It's cool to go through those times and to achieve goals. Because like you're saying, you do kind of evolve into this new either business or new person, and hopefully, you can use those lessons that you learn to help other people maybe not make the same mistake that you did. And come alongside other people that might be going through similar things. You just kind of gain another type of wisdom that can help others. And that's really cool too. To be able to use what you've learned to not only help yourself and help yourself improve, but also help others around you that might be going through similar things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so you have also had the opportunity to have some pretty big wins. I mentioned when I was introducing you about working with Anik Singal and working with Damon John. So those are pretty big names in their industries. And here it is again. this was before you were 24, probably, that you
Yeah.
were working with him. And so at a very young age, you're already, picking up some huge clients. Can you tell us a little background in regards to how that came to
Sure,
happen?
yeah. So I actually worked for Anik before I started doing this. So I got hired by Anik as an affiliate manager before I was
Mm.
even doing podcasts.
Ah,
Well, actually, I had been doing podcasts. I actually came from a podcast business, but he hired me as an affiliate manager. I got kind of lucky that I kind of transferred there with someone who was qualified for the position. I wasn't, but he was, and I went over with him. I Onik is an incredible dude. He's brilliant, but he's also just extremely humble, extremely nice. And he put me at a desk right next to his office. And every day he'd walk out, and I'd always be like, "Man, you got to start a podcast. I need you to start a podcast. I love podcasts, and I'm doing an affiliate management." I didn't even know what the word affiliate management meant when I was, or affiliate meant. But he thought I'd be good at it, and I guess I was all right. But I did affiliate management for about 6 months, and then 6 months into the job, he said, "All right, I'm gonna let you do the podcast. You can help me launch my podcast, but you have to prove that it's worth my time." Onik is a very hardworking guy, and his time is extremely valuable to him. And you know, to start something like a podcast, which to most people is a free medium,
mhm,
is a risk on his part because it could be a waste of time depending on how it's utilized. And so he came to me and he's like, "You can do it, but you got to prove that it's worth it." And that was kind of scary to me because at the time I had learned before that I was probably 20, maybe 20. I was 21, I think. I had learned before that how to edit and record pretty well, which is how I got a podcasting position beforehand. They were like, "Hey, you're a good editor. Come work for us." But
mhm,
Onik was the first one who was like, "You got to actually, grow it and make it successful. I want to see growth."
mhm,
And so I started working with him. We launched the Fighting Entrepreneur, which he's still doing, and it's doing very, very well. Um, and actually, in the first month of the podcast, I got really frustrated because he got, I think, 200 downloads in the first month after
mhm.
4 episodes,
Yeah.
and his following on Facebook at the time was 1 million. So he had a
Wow.
million followers on Facebook, and he got 200 downloads on his podcast. And I was bummed. I was like, "Shoot, this is the opposite of what he wanted me to do. Like, no one's listening to it." And he
Mhm.
ran out my desk and he was like, "Bro, did you see that we got 200 downloads on that podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, sorry." And he was like, "Dude, no." He was like, "If I had 200 people in my house, I would tell them all to leave. That's so many, like 200 people listen to me speak."
Yeah.
And he was like, "That's amazing." And that was a big, inspiration to me, just that in that moment. And we continued to grow it. We continued to, test different strategies, use a lot of different content, test how we went about, scheduling guests and who we had on and things like that. And it continued to grow and grow and grow. And again, God bless him, on the side, I asked him, I said, "Hey, do you mind if I start this business on the side, what I'm doing now, Podcast by Joe?" Because I had a few other companies kind of approach me asking for help editing and launching and publishing and things like that. And again, God bless Anik. He was like, "Of course, Anik's an entrepreneur at heart." So he was like, "Sure, go, go work, go do your thing. I don't think you're going to be here forever."
Yeah.
So he let me do that. I did it for about a year and then left the company there and kind of ventured out on my own. A lot of the connections that I made, for example, Damon, also got to work with Robert Kiyosaki a little bit, all came through that job with Anik. So he was my connection there, but I got to, work with some cool people who were on his podcasts. And it was really, really cool to be able to work with those guys and see how they, go about their day and how they use their time. It's very interesting to
Yeah.
observe. But I still talk to Anik a lot. Anik is still a fantastic mentor of mine. I've been able to help him with the Fighting Entrepreneur since then a bit. And it's been great to be able to watch the success of that show continue, and just continue on a uphill slope, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bit about that.
Yeah, and that's really cool because you think about number one, it really kind of sets you on a platform where you can really propel from there, and that's what you've been able to do since then. And it's like you had mentioned, there are the challenges of losing a client, or you got income or revenue that's coming in, and then all of a sudden, it goes away. But one of the things that I'm sure that you've been able to do, because I know quite a few other people that are using your services as well, so you're always able to add new clients. And I think, again, because of the quality of work that people are able to also see, it really kind of makes it a no-brainer, I think, for people, once you can give them demos of previous podcasts that have helped you to continue to grow from there.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, when specifically speaking to kind of the quality of work, obviously, in something that's public, like a podcast or social
Mhm.
media content, a lot of businesses, yeah, they want that high quality. They want to make sure that they're putting out something that represents them correctly. And that's a lot of the tips and tricks that I learned over the years have definitely led to that point. Obviously with COVID and everything, people have been going much more virtual. But I was preaching to people last year constantly that, last year was the year to start, and still kind of this year, because, the quality specifically, Zoom was the norm. Jimmy Fallon was recording the Tonight Show from Zoom. Like that's the norm quality for content. And so
Yeah.
actually I was preaching to everyone to start last year. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing that I've been able to bring people is a high quality finished product that lives on YouTube and Spotify and Apple, that looks very professional, that's very well done. Because it helps for a lot of reasons. Some of the biggest ones that I've seen it help with is specifically actually with scheduling guests. It's a lot easier to schedule guests when they look at your podcast and see the quality, see that it's a high quality and it's not just, quickly recorded from someone's phone or something like that. But I think that's a big way that I see the quality side of things coming into play. But again, it's just been it's been fun being able to meet and talk with people, and get to help people kind of bring their creations to life.
There's greatness within you. We've all heard those words before, but do we truly believe it? I can tell you, it took me about 3 years of studying greatness before I realized there truly is greatness inside of me. And I wrote a book called Ignite Your Greatness that proves the theory that we all have greatness within us. And I take it a step further. Once I prove it to you, I tell you exactly how to ignite the fire within you and take your life to new heights. Get your copy of Ignite Your Greatness at igniteyourgreatness.com. Also available on Amazon. Let me ask you this. Part of the show that I always do is I love asking people about when they first recognize the greatness inside of them. And it's a question that kind of people stumble on, because most people don't think, yeah, that's that moment that I recognize greatness in us. A lot of times we don't even want to acknowledge greatness in us. We want to give that to other people. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of times I think it's important for people to hear it from someone from the outside looking in. And what you do, Joe, how you handle yourself, there's absolutely greatness in you. When I learned just recently that you were 24 years old, and doing your business at the level that you're doing it at, I was blown away. Because, and the fact that you've been doing this since you were 21, because I think back when I was 21 and when I was 24, I was literally just getting started, in my career and life, and still figuring out so many things. Definitely being an entrepreneur was not one of them at that age. So going back to the question, for you, when was it that you realized this greatness or these special gifts and talents that you had that you needed to really put to work for yourself?
Yeah. Well, first off, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. I think there's a few different things. Number one, I from a very young age, I had in or well, for my whole life, I've had incredible parents who have been extremely uh, their first foot forward was always serving others. They were always helping others, serving others. Our house was always open to anyone who needed a place to stay. Just incredible servants. And I think watching them definitely kind of helped me learn what it meant to serve others and to help others. And as I've gone through this process, and this business, I've seen where I've been able to just serve others. I don't necessarily charge very much compared to my competitors, but it's a lot of times because I just really enjoy helping people, and I trust. I'm a faith-based guy. I'm a Christian. I trust the Lord's going to provide for me in the end, and I'm not trying to make a bajillion dollars right now. I don't think I need a ton of money. I just want to help people, serve others, and help their dreams kind of come to life and their ideas, because they're going to help and serve others. And so but what I would say is I think I'm still trying to find my greatness in ways. I've found this skill that I seem to be pretty good at, that people around me have told me that I'm good at, that I've been able to turn into a business. But I'm still young and I'm still looking to see if my greatness is in podcasts, but I think it's more, along the lines of just serving people. I always say I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
And I think serving others and being able to help others kind of, uh, live better lives because I've been able to help them in one way or another is a great thing to me. But again, I'm still young and I'm still looking around for different ways to see if I can, be great in other ways and find my greatness in different areas.
Yeah, and I agree with you that it's definitely based in the service part of what you're doing. And so, because a lot of times I tell people greatness was not me being a police officer, it was me serving the community. Greatness is not me being a real estate agent or the entrepreneur endeavors that I've been a part of. It was the service aspect of those things, because that's where the fire, that's where the passion lied for me. And I can see it's obvious that there's a passion for you when you're doing this particular business. I know there's mornings when I get up first thing in the morning. I know you're East Coast, but still, it's like first thing in the morning, and I'm waking up at say 6 o'clock, and I already got a message from you in regards to the podcast. Right at the end of the day, same thing. So it's very clear that you're very passionate about what you're doing, and
Yeah.
the passion doesn't come from podcast per se. It comes from the service that you're doing for others. So yeah, and you're right. It will continue to evolve for you. It's just great that at such a young age that you've already tapped into it, because like I said, there's many people out there that are still just trying to figure out life, let alone where their purpose lies, and the things that they're going to be doing in that life.
Yeah.
So yeah, so big congratulations to you just for being able to crack that code.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, like you said, even just knowing that, even just being excited for every day to work every day, I think
Mhm.
is a big win for me. And for a lot of people strive for that. A lot of people want to be able to wake up and know that what they're going to work on that day or do that day is something that they're really really excited about. And I think that is really kind of a sign that I'm doing what I'm made to do, at least for the time being, because I still wake up every day and I'm excited to do what I do, and I'm excited to help others, and I'm excited to be creative and see how we can create some cool content. But yeah, I think that's something that I don't take for granted, is I wake up every day excited for what I get to do that day in regards to work.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a key in life in general, because I know Les Brown used to talk about 85% of the people that wake up to go to a job are not happy about the job that they're going to. And I remember being one of those, at a certain point. Well, like I said, while I loved the job that I did, because there's a lot of politics in law enforcement. There's
Mm,
a lot, especially now in the media of how police are portrayed. It's a thankless job, and there's many areas where law enforcement officers feel like almost feel like the bad guy when they're supposed to be the good guy. So it's very easy in that particular profession, and I'm sure in many other professions where people they wake up and all they can think about is getting off of work, and that's not living in a passion or in your purpose when that's how your day starts. So, and I'm sure just like with me, I'm sure with your day, it's kind of the I don't have, it's not the I have to, it's the I get to kind of
yeah.
mindset that you have. It's like you wake up in the morning, you're like, man, I get to edit, the Greatness Ignited podcast or all these different other podcasts that you're working on. There's excitement and enthusiasm about it, which is very important that we each have in our daily lives.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I'm young, but I have worked jobs like you said that I feel like I have to do stuff.
Yeah.
Not anything is on the level of, being a police officer, which thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
But I mean, I opened at Starbucks at 4 a.m. After high school, and that was a job where I felt like I had to do it to get a paycheck. And
Yeah.
I'm very grateful I'm not doing that anymore. I mean, maybe that kind of changed my experience for now, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk. We're going to close it out, but I got one more question for you. Really, I wanted to know when you think of you look into the crystal ball and you think about the future. Whether it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what are some of the big dreams that you have going towards the future of what you would like to be able to pursue in life?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I know the one thing that I want to stay consistent is being able to first off interact with other people,
Mhm.
converse with other people, talk to other people. Um and number two being I want to have some aspect of creativity to it. My favorite part of my job is actually being able to work with clients to first off like kind of brand the show and kind of brainstorm the beginning of it. That's one of my favorite parts
Yeah.
because I feel like I get to flex my creativity a little bit while also listening to other people who have these great ideas and being able to help them come to life. So I'm hoping that, as I continue, whether it's in podcasts or in some other sort of medium, I get to interact with people, continue to be creative, and continue to serve people, continue to make other people around me better people just from me being able to serve them or just be around them, I guess.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the future holds. I don't know if be doing podcasts forever. I don't want to edit forever, but I do hope to continue to help strategize and maybe, do some consulting when it comes to the creativity side and the branding side and the marketing side.
Yeah.
I would also love to get to a point, at least with this business, where I have a team of editors that is working on other people's shows and things, but I get to kind of come in and talk to people like you, Barry, or other guests all day, where I just have a bunch of different shows that kind of go out every day. I think that would be really fun. Just kind of meet people, help people, entertain audiences, things like that. But I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking. I'm thinking about what I want to do, but creativity will be involved, servanthood will be involved, and interacting with others will be involved.
That's great. That's great. And that again, I have no doubts that it will still be in that service role for you because it's very clear that that's a big passion and the fulfillment that you get, much like me in that area. And I know that you've actually opened up another aspect of business as well, where you're helping businesses in regards to getting testimonials for their business, but you're doing it in a unique way as opposed to, just having a text testimonial or whatnot. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. Recently, on top of podcasts, we've been starting to do testimonials with clients where we will actually reach out to the client for you. Some of our clients would prefer making the introduction for us, but we will communicate with your client, schedule a time to interview them, and then actually interview them for about 5 to 10 minutes and get a testimonial out of them. We'll use like curated questions that we make sure are correct for you and your brand. But we will ask them a bunch of questions and then edit a small testimonial video for you to put on your website on the front, or whatever. And we have a few different deals and packages where you can get different stuff. But yeah, it's a cool way to kind of get more interaction out of your testimonials and hopefully catch people's eye when they come to your website or see you on social media, as well as hear it directly from the client. Sometimes when it's a text box, not everyone thinks this, but it can seem like it's maybe changed a little bit or fixed a bit so that it sounds correct for the the service or the owner of the business. But if you're able to just hear it directly from their mouth, there's benefits to that because people directly see the impact that you've made on someone else. So that's kind of what we're getting into. It's in very early stages, but we are offering that now.
Yeah, and I think that again, it's a creative way of now being able to share testimonials, and I know it's gonna, like again, we've talked about it from our real estate business, but you're able to do it for pretty much any type of business, which I think is going to be very beneficial because it goes back to what you said in the or what I quoted you as saying, again, in regards to if you're not creating content, you're falling behind because your competitor is. And here it is, another business that is being launched to help people create that content.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And real quick to that quote, it's 100% real. I mean, and it's becoming more and more of an issue for businesses that aren't making content. A lot of the clients that I get now that reach out to me and are like, "Hey, we want to work with you." When I ask them like why they want to work with me or why they want to do a podcast, a lot of the answers are because we found out our competitor is launching one, or because we found out that so and so has one and it's doing really, really well. So yeah, I mean, I would encourage your listeners, whether it's a podcast or just posting social media content or going live on Facebook once a week, whatever it is, I would highly recommend thinking about ways that you can create content on social media to stay in front of people. Those are the people that, your audience and potential clients are going to remember, are the ones that are in front of them on social media when they're scrolling through. And it's a lot easier to work with someone who has built some trust with you, who's created a podcast or content where you can hear them speak and be educational, than it is to go to a website where someone's just like, yes, give me money and work with me, and has no, content or anything to back up what he's saying. You just kind of got to trust them. I would always work with the one who has a ton of content and, you can hear them speak about the value they bring. So that's a quick aside about that. But yeah, just a little encouragement to the listeners.
All right. Yeah, and that makes me feel good because I actually have a marketing team that I work with on my real estate, and they have created a separate YouTube channel solely for real estate. And every week we're dropping about a 5-minute video just in regards to all things real estate. And we have different
Cool.
conversations pretty much every week, but it goes to exactly what you're talking about creating the content, making yourself the expert in a particular area. And it's going to make the difference as to who's calling you versus who's calling the person that doesn't have any type of content out there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, trust building in today's day and age, especially when searching for someone to work with online, is very important. You don't want to just give your money to any old schmuck. You want to
Yeah.
make sure that they know what they're talking about and that they are educational and that you can trust them. And a great way to do that is content, whether it's videos or lives or podcasts. It's a great way to build trust with potential clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Joe, man, it has been a real treat to be here with you. And before we go, I want you to definitely take the a final word for yourself of just talking to that ideal client, letting them know how they can get a hold of you for consultation and then eventually working with you.
Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
So if you're interested in working with us, you can go to podcasts, plural, podcastsbyjoe.com or joeennis.net. Either works. We work with people create all sorts of content, whether it's courses, webinars, audiobooks, testimonials, podcasts. Most of what we do will revolve around podcasts probably, but we will do it all. I also have a podcast called Elevator Pitch, which is on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and pretty much everywhere a podcast is available, where I just interview entrepreneurs and business owners who are, passionate about what they do and want some free content. So if you're actually interested in being a guest, we'll have a little bit of a conversation. Barry was actually just a guest right before this. But if you, the listener, are interested in maybe being a guest or kind of getting a demo of what it's like to create a podcast, reach out. Would love to talk to you, and potentially we can schedule a time to set up an interview. So yeah, that's it. Reach out. joeennis.net is probably the easiest way.
All right. Again, thank you so much, Joe. It was great having you here, and just looking forward to seeing all the new endeavors that you're going to be taking a part on and the success as it continues for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Barry.
All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of Greatness Ignited. And remember this as you're going through your week. Maybe you're having those challenges that we all go through. Always remember, the struggle is real, but so is your greatness.
Ignite your greatness, take a leap of faith and you'll make it. Wanna live life to the fullest, you gotta be hardworking and patient. You got the fire within you, you got a dream that you should be chasing. Pushing through to the finish line and you got no time to be wasting, yeah. Ignite your greatness, take a leap of faith and you'll make it.